All right, y'all. So I did not wake up one day wanting to be a foster mom. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me 10 years ago that I'll be raising these babies forever and having a full foster home with foster children. Now, I'm not a foster mom anymore. I hung that license up, and as we go through this series, it's loaded. It's at least 10, 11 years worth of story time to unload. So every little detail will not be in this story, but I'm about to let it rip. And this is my story. This is my truth. So hopefully I don't step on too many people's toes, or people don't get emotionally upset or angry at the words that I'm saying, because it's the truth, right? So, all right, here we go. So, hey y'all, my name is Shannon. I am the mom, and I'm going to tell you the journey on how I got my kids through foster care all the way through adopting them, okay? I thought it was going to be temporary, but God had other plans for me. For us, me and my husband. I know I say me sometimes, but it's me and my husband, right? So my husband's sister, she's actually adopted as a cousin, okay? And at this particular time, this was her first child. Jakari was her first child, and she lost her kids. She had lost her kids to the system due to neglect, okay? There was a lot of neglect that was in the reports that we weren't even privy to at this particular time in the moment, right? So she wasn't doing her regular visits that you're supposed to have. So if you don't know, once your kids go into foster care, one of the stipulations for you to get your children back is that you have to have regular visits. And at that particular time, Jakari was 1.5 and Jalea was only 6 months old. Now, if you had like a child under, I want to say like 1 or 2, like the young kids, they still are talking about reunification at this point. And they give the parents a lot of room to hang themselves. So their mom had multiple, as every mom does, definitely in the state of Michigan is what I know. But their mom had multiple times to be able to do visits, okay? She had the opportunity to set up at least 3 visits a week. Now, being y'all, we're gonna talk about money and all of that, but just keep this in the back of your head. I'm not a foster mom. Not yet. Not at this point. And I'm just taking in my family members' children. So I have to run back and forth to the agency to do these visits, right? And nobody's paying for my gas. Nobody's paying for my mileage. Nobody is doing any of that. But she ended up not even keeping up with any of her visits. Matter of fact, in 3-4 years, I don't know, I can probably count on one hand on how many visits that she actually showed up and made to be connected with her children. She had the same opportunity. All she had to do was call the worker and say, hey, I'm coming up there on Tuesday. Can you let Shannon know that I'm coming on Tuesday, 5 p.m. and cool. Yeah, she didn't do that. So the family was really mad at me because I would not allow their mom to see her children outside of the state. The state told me, they were like, she has supervised visits and she needs to come to the agency to see them because of the things that were in the report that they said that she had done or crimes committed or whatever, right? I really don't even remember, but she had to come there to do the visit. She had to set the visits up through them. And in spite of me telling my family this, my husband's side of the family this, they started to get really mad at me. And, you know, basically saying that I wasn't right. I was just basically keeping the kids from them. I guess it wasn't said, but it was known. Okay, y'all know the feeling, the kind of thing that comes along. I don't remember it ever being said to me, but it could have, and I just don't remember. It's been a long time. But basically, they all got mad at me because I did get some calls though, and they were just basically like, why? Like, why she can't see her kids? Why can't you bring her kids to this location so she can visit her children, right? And I would say, I'm not getting in trouble, because if I do let her see her children and say one of the kids just like slip up and say something, or somebody calls and say, I don't know. I just didn't want to get in the middle of any of it, because I didn't want to be held responsible for, number one, if something had happened. And number two, the kids could have been removed from my care if they had found out I had did something out of the scope of what the state wanted us to do. So if you are a foster parent, if you have children, or y'all already know, the state is very, very particular when it comes to these things. And I wasn't willing to put any of that at stake. Because first of all, I love my family, but we were the only ones that stood up and said that we were going to take the children. When everything had happened and everything had went down, when children are removed from a home, they first want to keep the children with the family, right? Before they give them to any outsiders or put them in anywhere. So they reached out, starting with the closest family members, bio family members, and then they kind of go down the line, right? And then they'll question us and say, well, do you know of any family friends that may want to help out, blah, blah, blah. Well, we were the only ones that said that we would do it, right? And I just know I couldn't have any more children. At this particular time, I want to say my son BJ was 10 and Kyle, well, no, he was 12 and Kyle was about 15. I think he was about to be 16, something like that. He was about to be 16 years old. So, I couldn't have any more children. I definitely wanted to have more children. I've always loved children. So yeah, that's kind of where we are, and that's part of how we got them in the house. So just like backtracking a little bit, what I didn't tell y'all, this was the second time that we had raised a child or children that wasn't ours. So I have a nephew. His name is Joshua. Joshua was dropped. His mom had dropped him off at my doorstep. Like literally, I opened the door and the car seat was there at 2 months old. Okay. So Joshua, his mom was on drugs and my brother was young, partying. They were partying on drugs together. Very toxic relationship or whatever. So she drops him off at the doorstep. My husband and I We're just like, what? But anyway, we raised Josh in our home as our own, to the point when we couldn't handle him anymore. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But from when he was 2 months old till he was 12 years old, Josh had a lot of mental problems. If y'all ever have experienced FAS, which is fecal alcohol syndrome, it is a beast, y'all. It's a beast. It's probably one of the most cruel diseases that you can ever have. Or is it a disease? I don't know if it's a disease. I think you just get it. And fecal alcohol syndrome is what it is. When they're in the fetus, the mom continues to drink. So it affects the baby real bad. Real bad. And I call it one of the worst things that you could ever do to a child is to drink, because so many things go wrong. So many things go wrong at a later date, and things started unfolding years later with Josh. So I had Josh on medication when he started to be like 5 years old. And that boy was just all over the place. And I just didn't know how bad we were still younger, in our younger ages ourselves, right? Not too young, but we were young enough. And, like Josh, he was just like I don't even know how to explain it, but we had people in and out of our house 5 days a week trying to help us with Josh. There was different therapists. There was respite care we took him to. There was, I don't know, evaluation after evaluation. I did a lot of spending a lot of my days and time at the school. I was at the school a lot because the school was having so many issues and problems handling him at that time. I would always have to run up to the school, pull him out of school early. Like I did this for so many years. He was in intensive therapies, different types of therapies like home therapy, all types of different stuff, right? And he would just cry all day long. I think my buddy, he woke up crying, he went to sleep crying, like he just cried so much. So at this point, my dad had been dating this lady, right? They're married now, but he had been dating this lady for about 10 years. And she has children, right? So they started saying, like, basically, in a nutshell, me and my husband were doing a bad job with Josh. Why am I doing all of this? Basically saying that I was being extra, and I wasn't taking care of him the right way, and that they could do a better job. So said girlfriend for 10 years, I told you she had kids, so she has a daughter. So the daughter started a couple of times, she got Joshua on the weekends, and she was like, okay, cool, you know, Josh is not that bad. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, at this point in my life, I'm so stressed out, y'all, because I started, like, my son BJ, he was 12, but they're literally 11, 12, 1, 2. They're 3 months apart, right? Josh is older by 3 months. And my son BJ started to despise him. And then he started to despise me and my husband, but mostly me, because it's like, mama, you could never be my mama because you're always putting all of your energy and time into Josh. You always up at the school, always going to doctor's appointments. And it got to the point where BJ was being kind of mean to him. But so there were some instances, like I would come in there and BJ would put his he would take the pillow and put it over his face and like all of these types of things. But Josh was super annoying, always telling on him, and he couldn't do anything. And then remember I told y'all all he did was cry. So he would cry. And my son was just getting enough of it. So I told you my mom she passed away in 1998 from diabetes complications. And so she never met my children. She never met my husband. She never met anybody. But growing up, she couldn't have any more children, so she adopted Aaron and Christopher. So when she adopted Aaron and Christopher, because I was her only child, they were from drug addicted parents. So they had a multitude of issues, right? So here I am, you guys will learn, living her exact life, like it's like textbook, which is so crazy to me. But anyway, she had adopted them at 1 and 2 years old. Christopher was 2, and Aaron was 1. So Joshua is actually Christopher's child. Okay. Christopher died, like, I don't know the year, maybe 3 years ago from a fentanyl overdose. He lived on the streets for 20-something years. We had a really good relationship growing up, but after my mom passed away, he really took to the streets and took to drugs, unfortunately, and ended up passing away. And that's where Joshua came in at. So Christopher was on the streets. He was in and out of jail a lot because he didn't have anywhere to go. And again, my mom growing up did not have any time for me because she adopted these boys and they had so many issues that she spent most of her time up at the school, at doctor's appointments, blah, blah, blah. Same exact thing that is happening to me. But at this particular time, I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together like this is a generational thing. Like this is exactly, like I didn't figure it out till years later that this is the same thing that my mom went through. So at this particular point of time, BJ is feeling this way, and I'm just telling my husband, like, we are losing our son. We're losing our son. So y'all remember my dad's girlfriend, right? That has the daughter that wanted Joshua because she said we were doing such a bad job. Matter of fact, she called CPS on me. Y'all, I forgot all about that. Of course, it came through anonymous, but the things that when CPS be telling you stuff, this was the first time CPS has ever been called on me. And I didn't know, we had came back from Kalahari, the water park, and I remember a little card being on my door, and I'm like, what? So anyway, I already knew who it was because of the allegations. She was the only one that it could be, because at first I was questioning myself because, like I said, Josh would always just be crying. So even in the summertime, springtime in Michigan, you open all the windows, get the fresh air in your house or whatever. And I was just like, maybe one of the neighbors called on us because maybe they heard yelling and screaming. Y'all will get to know I holler a lot. I got a big mouth, and that's just me, right? I be hollering. My husband be like, why is you hollering? Matter of fact, I just did a video. He was like, why you hollering? I don't know. I'm just hollering. My my whole family just hollers on my mom's side. Like, we were always just loud and hollering. And even when I'm talking, sometimes I'm hollering. I'm probably hollering at some of y'all right now. Y'all be feeling attacked, like, why is she hollering? Yeah, I'm just probably hollering. So this daughter would always come around, and she would be like, I'm feeling sorry. She's feeling sorry for Josh, and, you know, of how we're treating him, right? Not like how he's treating us, on how we're treating Joshua at this point. And she could do a better job. She showed up to a couple of his IEP meetings, and the teachers went on to explain to her some things that were going on. And I invited her to the IEP. I'm like, girl, come to the IEP. Like, you don't even understand. I'm exhausted at this point. I'm losing my son, because my son is tired. Like, my son is very, very, BJ, he's very jealous hearted. Like, he wanted me to himself. He wanted his dad to himself. And to his right, he's never had us to himself, because Josh has always been there. Remember, I told you we got him when he was 2 months old. But he went with a family member for a full year, and then he came back with us full time after that. So basically, and he visited a lot. So basically, he never ever had us alone like that. It just wasn't enough time for it. I'm not gonna say enough time for it, but it's just the way it went. It's just the way it went. So I remember the girl that came to pick up Josh, and I was just that tired parent. I didn't care about nothing. I'm like, just take him. I knew that he would be in a good home, because she was a good person, right? She was just in for a rude awakening. I tried to tell her. I tried to tell my dad. I tried to tell my dad's girlfriend, right, at the time. And they thought we were doing a bad job. Oof, child. What came after that? And this is what, and I just kept saying in the back of my head, probably said it to my husband. We probably talked about it, like, that's what they get. Like, they took him, and from 12 years old to 16 years old, he had multiple calls in with the cops. Multiple calls in with the cops, with the police. He would run away. He would steal her stuff, because now he's in a preteen age. She's trying to put these rules down on him, and he's not trying to have it. And yeah, I just remember, I don't know if I said it yet. Did I say it? I don't know. She was putting his bags in the car, and she was like, I'm probably going to just adopt him. If I repeated that, y'all, I'm sorry. But I just thought about it. She was like, I'm just probably going to adopt him. I'm like, yeah, you go ahead and have fun with that. Because this is my bio nephew that I can't deal no more with. But he's bio, but he's not. Because remember, my mom adopted my brothers, right? So, not real bio, but like through blood, but through adoption, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where we are. She said she was going to adopt him and take him. So this boy is running away. He's stealing. one time, I don't know, she used to call me and she used to be like, he has some obsession with my daughter. He's stealing all of her underwear out of her drawer and he's hiding it. I've had to lock up my room with locks. I've had to lock up everything in my house. I've had to take everything away from him. Like all of these things that she had to put in play right now, right? That she didn't have before, because she had 2 daughters before. But remember, she said she could do better than me. So now she's having mega problems with her, like more problems than I ever had with the boy. She's having a lot of problems. So like he's breaking stuff in her house. I think like it was some, like, he was gonna kill her, and like it was some stuff, y'all. That was the hardest decision at that point that I had ever made, because I really saw Joshua as my son, right? I really did. And I had to give him up. But I had to give him up because my family, the son that I birthed, the 2 sons that I birthed, right? But one of them was really struggling with having Joshua around. And I remember this happening to me, right? So at this point, I'm starting to realize, I'm like, I went through this with my own mom. My mom did not have time for me. And because she didn't have time for me, I suffered. Like I was a wild child, because she didn't pay me no attention, because she was sick, first of all. But beyond her sickness, she was doing everything for these other kids that were not her bio kids. The same situation, y'all. So I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to risk my child anymore. So I decided to go ahead and give Joshua to this kind of family member. I guess she will be my family member now, because my dad ended up marrying the lady. So I think that would make her, is that my sister? Would that be my sister? Because she would be my stepmama now. So I think she'd be my stepsister. I don't know about that. All right, y'all. So, so I just wanted to kind of set the tone for you guys, to let you guys know that this is not our first rodeo when it comes to the kids. This is not our first rodeo when it comes to kids that are not ours. So it had been at least about, and before I get into that, let me tell y'all, we'll probably talk about Josh in this thing, but Josh to this day suffers with major mental problems, y'all. I just ask for prayers for him, because he still has those mental problems. My sister helps take care of him. He is homeless as well, but because of his mental problems, he can't get the help that he needs or he deserves, because he doesn't understand that he still needs that help. And he's very, very hard-headed and very stubborn. So y'all just keep him in your prayers. My sister helps him out a lot. I try to help him out a lot. He's still in the state of Michigan. But at 17 years old, we were in the middle of COVID, and the facilities were shutting down because COVID was so bad everywhere, but it was really bad in Michigan. So my sister at 17 years old ended up taking Joshua into her home as under the state ward foster care, because he was about to be 18 years old. And I never had Joshua in foster care. He was just a ward of the state, because the one that said that she could take care of him, so that she could do a better job than me, she went and dropped him off at the state. She went and dropped him off at the state. She went and dropped him at a boy's home and said, she used to always threaten, I'm going to take him down there on Bagley Street. That's in Detroit, downtown Detroit. That's where like the foster care people are. I'm going to go drop him off. I'm just going to drop him off and drive off. Like, she would always say little stuff like that. I verbally heard it out of her mouth. But Josh, that's what I was saying. Y'all just pray for Josh. He definitely needs your prayers. We're definitely out here still trying to help him, assist him as he's in another transitional program to try and help him get back on his feet, as he needs help. He needs mental help. And I just pray for his mental stability to this day. All right. I just wanted to kind of set that tone so y'all know, like, this is not our first rodeo with kids, with kids that are not ours. So Jalea and Jakari come about 5 years later. So what we thought was going to be temporary turned into a full-fledged adoption. So you guys are going to learn through these different series that I'm doing. I feel like it's almost therapy for me, kind of going back, because I'm remembering things as I'm talking to y'all, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened. So as I'm going through, y'all, I got some little notes down here because I want to make sure that I tell it in order, because Lord knows I can talk. I don't want to confuse nobody. We didn't know the exact conditions of their mom's home or anything because Jakari's dad lived out of state. Now, let me tell y'all this. I'm going to tell y'all this. I don't care what type of parent you are. I don't care what type of parent you are. You can be a great, fantastic parent. You can have children that you've adopted, that you've taken care of, and that you've done all that you could do for them, right? Somewhere down in their little minds, they're going to probably want to, at some point, seek their bio parents. Okay? So, Josh wanted to seek his bio parents. Well, he's more receptive now to looking for his mom because he knows he has a lot of siblings, and we're in the middle of trying to help with that. But Josh wanted to seek his parents as well after his dad died. His dad died, remember I told you, like 3 years ago. So he's more receptive of it now. But let's jump ship and let's go back to Jakari and Jalea's mom, right? I told you that Jalea, so I told you that their mom is an adopted, she's adopted, but she's originally a cousin that was adopted as a sister. So she's my husband's bio cousin, but not really bio sister. So, but they had her since she was a baby. So, yeah. So, she seeked out her mom. My husband's mom died years ago. Let me see. BJ was young. He was under, I'm going to say he was about 2 or 3 years old when she passed away. And BJ is 23 now. So that was about 20 years ago, give or take, y'all. I don't know the exact date. So I just want to say she was an amazing mom. She took me in. She was an amazing mom. She was an amazing woman of God. She helped me with so many things because remember, my mom passed away when I was very young. She passed away when I was 21. My mom passed away when I was 20 or 21, one of those, in 1998, and I was born in 1977. Y'all do that math. So that's when my mom had passed away, and then I met my husband after she had passed away, and that woman, My mother-in-law was amazing. She taught me so much about myself and about how to be a mom and how to handle a household, as I was missing that a lot in my mom because she was so sick in those pivotal, that ain't the right word, those special years of my life that I needed it. She was sick. And then before she was sick, she had put so much into Christopher and Aaron that it was just so hard to even, you know, reach her or whatever. But these kids, I don't care how you raise them, something always pulls them back to going back to seek out their bio parents. So Jalea and Jakari's mom, she went back to Wisconsin from Detroit, Michigan, because that's where her bio mom lived, which was in Wisconsin. So she went seeking out her mom, but while she was living in Wisconsin seeking out her mom, she ended up meeting Jakari's dad, and that's how they ended up having Jakari. Okay, so them two ended up having Jakari. And she would always go from Michigan to Wisconsin and back and forth, back and forth. When she was in Michigan, she ended up getting pregnant with Jalea's dad, lives in Michigan, getting pregnant here. And then she still ran back to Wisconsin and ended up having the baby in Wisconsin. So Jalea and Jakari are born in Wisconsin. So their mom is living in Wisconsin. She has an apartment there. And we didn't really know the conditions of her apartment or what like her mental state, because we were really good friends. Like, that was my sister, right? But like sister-in-law, but we were still really good friends, and we would talk all of the time, you know, a couple times a week. I would talk her going through to Jakari's appointments and, you know, the pregnancy or whatever. And my husband's dad, I think their mom was a few months pregnant and he passed away. So he never got to meet her children either. He was another amazing man, right? He was very special to me. And I think I was special to be able to have two in-laws that were, you know, like that meant a lot to me, because you know, they were just special to me. They really treated me like I was their own daughter. Like, they were genuine. They were genuine. And they raised all of their kids to be genuine children as well. So we couldn't do anything but believe what their mom was telling us. Now, we knew, like, after Billy, my husband, his mom had passed away, we knew, like, their mom used to run away all the time. She had hung around a lot of people that were into drugs and that did drugs and things like that. But when she left Michigan and went back to Wisconsin, we didn't, like, we still kept in touch with her, but we didn't know, like we couldn't see stuff firsthand anymore. So when the charges came through that she had that were neglect, we didn't know how bad it was. They didn't let us see the report. They just said that it was neglect. I did not get to see, my husband did not get to see the report until we went and picked up the kids. And then when I sat down and talked to her about the report, she said that this was a lie, that was a lie, they were exaggerating, and it wasn't nothing that we could do. I was just like, that seems kind of outlandish, because you wasn't raised like that. Like, I just couldn't see her doing all of the things at that time. I could not see her. The house was in these particular conditions, right? When the kids were taken, they looked like this, and this had happened, and that had happened, and the kids were unsupervised and running their own water, and Jakari had to fend for his own food. It was no food in the refrigerator. He was walking up and down the street at 1 year old by himself. There's a lot of allegations there, and I'm not going to go into those because my kids will probably watch this. And when they come to a particular age and they get grown and we sit down and we talk to them, they will know all of the truth. But I'm not going to put all of that out here on the internet. It was just really bad inside of that report. This was the second time we decided, my husband and I, to bring children in the home, which was supposed to be temporary, y'all. Y'all say it, temporary. We had to sit down and talk to my boys. I did not want to make the same mistake that I made with Josh with them. So even though that they're a little older now, I wanted to sit down and talk to them and say, hey, she lost her kids, to the state, but she's going to get them back. She's going to get them back. At this point, I don't know anything about what she would have to do to get them back. I didn't understand anything about foster care, the state, the rules, like none of that, right? Because I was brand new to all of this, because I told y'all I had Josh, but I just had temporary custody of him all of these years. I never got foster care or, like any, state payments that way for him. This was a whole total different route than what I had taken when it was, with Josh. So we had just downsized our house too. We had downsized our house, and we were thinking about, like, shoot, after so many months, we're gonna have to upsize our house, because now, like a year ago we downsized, now we're gonna need a bigger house because God had different plans, and now we need to get us a bigger house because we got two extra children to take care of. So our house is really small. Because when Jalea came, Jalea was 6 months old and Jakari was 1.5, right? Even though we've done visits, he's been to my house multiple times, because I told y'all, like, their mom used to come back and forth all the time. And when they would come back and forth, she would drop the kids off over at my house. Well, Jalea not so much, because she was still very young. Like, so she had only been back like one time. But Jakari, she had been back several times. Mental illness is very, very, I think I'm looking for the word hereditary. Like, you just have to be careful, because as you guys will see in the journey of even like right now today, my children definitely struggle with mental illness really, really bad. Jalea is 10 years old and Jakari is 12 years old. And as I get all of this out, you guys will start to realize, like, I just hope that that's not what this is, right? Because I remember their mom growing up and some things that happened, and now I'm older, so I can recognize some things. I've had a full-fledged foster care, so again, I could recognize some things. That's how I got them. So because we were across states, the workers drove 3 hours to me and I drove 3 hours that way. So it was a 6-hour drive from Wisconsin to Michigan. So we kind of like met in the middle. Okay. But first, when they were first taken, they had to clear my husband and myself. Let me say that nobody, first of all, I told y'all nobody stood up to take the kids. But the ones that did stand up that were in Wisconsin, there's multiple family members in Wisconsin. So the ones that wanted to take them inside of the state of Wisconsin, none of them could be cleared by CPS. CPS went through and tried to clear all of these family members, and they denied all of them because of, I don't know, a past case, or I don't know, jail time. Like, I don't know what their stipulations were, but I just want to say, everybody, I'm like, you telling me that everybody in Wisconsin, family members, like all of y'all, can't not one of y'all, not one? So they started checking off the list. So they had to come to the state of Michigan, because they had to start knocking us down off the list to try and see who can take these kids, because they're going to put them with family members before they put them with, you know, just a random person, because the placement is easier. And I'm about to tell you why. The state is janky, y'all. The state is janky. So we met in the middle. So y'all, I'm not sure if it's like this everywhere, but I've heard of this a few times on this journey. If you are a relative, and they call it something, I don't know the correct term, I don't forget it, but if you're a family member, they feel like, the state feels like you should be able to take the kids without any payment. That you don't need payment because you're supposed to take care of them, because whether it's a cousin, brother, sister, auntie, I don't know. If you're a family member, they don't want to give you no funds. They don't want to give you no money to help you with these kids. I think that this needs to be changed, and it is so backwards. So backwards. The state is like the states with an S, because Michigan ain't the only one that does this. I found out Arizona does this too, but it's working all the way backwards. So they expect you to take care of these children, and in this case, they are babies, all by yourself, no money involved. I wish somebody would like go to Congress about it. If I knew how to do that, I sure would. It's just, it's sad, and y'all about to hear, because so many people struggle with this just one rule here, and they don't want to take in family members because of this, because they can't afford it. So at this particular time, my husband was working at General Motors. He was working at GM, right? And everything was good. But within 2 weeks of us taking these kids in, and them not giving us nothing but insurance for them, right? My husband got laid off work. So when you get laid off work, just to get like your unemployment started, it took weeks and weeks and weeks. So now financially, we are struggling, y'all. I told y'all we wanted to upgrade our house, but I was like, shoot, I don't think we can even upgrade at this point, hon, because you don't have no job. Like, what are we doing? Like, are you going to be offered to go back to work? Like, it was a really, really hard time. And he wasn't working. I was on Social Security disability. We'll talk about that in another video. But none of our family helped us. None of the family helped us. Financially, they gave us WIC for Jalea's milk, so we didn't have to pay for her formula. The state wasn't giving us any money. And here I am. I done tried to be the hero. I done took these kids in, and we ain't got no money. I wasn't getting no food stamps because we made too much until my husband was laid off. I wasn't, like, we had only been in that house like maybe 6 months, but we knew if we was gonna have these kids for any length of time that we were gonna have to move because it was so tiny. But we downsized because of financials. But now we thought we was gonna get paid from the state to help us with the kids, but that didn't come through for like, shoot, 2 years. 2 years of us having these kids. We had to pay everything out of our pockets. These are kids that I didn't birth, but I'm helping the state with. I'm talking about diapers, wipes, clothes. I will go to if y'all ever want to donate clothes or anything, y'all look this up. Like, Michigan has, I think it's Michigan's fostercloset.org or Michigan's fostercloset.com. I don't know. Michigan has some amazing foster closets. But there's foster closets, I think, here in Arizona. They ain't as amazing as the ones in Michigan, though. But they helped out a lot. They helped out a lot. So if you ever wanted to donate any money or to any type of cause, I would definitely give. And if I ever make it big like I am one day, my money is definitely going, the charity of my choice is going to be a foster closet, because they gave me underwear every season. I got underwear, I got diapers there. They even gave me toys, clothes, new and gently used, y'all. People donate to them. Car seats, high chairs, walkers, because I needed all of that. Jalea was still a baby, right? I needed all of that because she was an infant. All they gave us was insurance, y'all. That was it. And insurance and a hard time, because they came out every single month for the next 10 years. We gonna talk about that. And so the journey began. That's when everything started to shift, y'all. I didn't even realize it yet at this point in my life. I definitely didn't know it was going to be a forever journey. So y'all stick with me. Hopefully y'all liked episode 1. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but I had to kind of like set the ground and give y'all like the nitty gritty of what happened and how we got here to Born to Belong, how we got here as a family, right? All right, y'all. Bye.